What's going on, everybody? This is Steve from Bloom Audio. Today we're going to talk about the Noble Audio Kronos. Now, this has been like the summer of flagships between Kronos now, Odin Mark II, the Volk Audio Etoile, Grand Maestro Anniversary. There's a lot going on right now. Kronos has us pretty excited because flashback about a year ago, Noble released a very limited edition IEM called the Chronicle. I think there were like 30 units made or something on the pretty low side. We got to hear it, and I think a lot of us agreed this was Noble's best IEM yet, but there just weren't many of them available because of that limited edition nature. Well, Kronos is same driver configuration and tuning as Chronicle, but in a more broadly available IEM. So we were really pumped to get Kronos, to hear it, to get to spend more time with it than we got with Chronicle, and kind of ask the question, is this really Noble's best IEM ever? And how does this stack up with the rest of the high-end flagship IEMs being released and on the market right now? So we're going to take a closer look, talk about what is Kronos exactly, who it's for, and answer the question, should you buy it? So Kronos is the latest flagship from Noble, priced at $4,500. Internally, it's an 8-driver quad-brid, and while the configuration of drivers might look pretty similar to a lot of other recent stuff, there's some differences in the way that it's implemented that make this pretty unique. So of course, to start out, you've got a single dynamic driver handling the bass. And above that, 2 balanced armatures for the mid-range, 2 balanced armatures for the highs, 2 electrostatic drivers handling the ultra-high frequencies. And there's a bone conduction driver, but that bone conduction driver is configured for the complete frequency spectrum, designed to offer additional sense of tactility and texture to the full range of music, not just the sub bass as many bone conduction drivers are configured. Along with that, the impedance is 8.6 ohm and the sensitivity is 102 dB. In terms of the physical design, Kronos uses, I believe, an aluminum shell with a very cool holographic design on the faceplate, which is inspired by the original Chronicle IEM design. The included cable is very nice as well. It's a mix between palladium-plated pure silver strands and palladium-plated OCC copper. It's an interesting cable, really nice feel and weight to it. Great quality overall. The look and feel of the whole package is very impressive when it comes to this IEM and the cable. In terms of sound, I do think the tuning here is Noble's best work. Very well balanced, just the right helpings of bass, treble, solid mid-range, a touch of warmth in the sound signature. You can look at the graph and see this leans more towards a reference neutral sort of sound. But again, I think this tuning is very well crafted and it's appropriate across a wide range of genres. When I look back at the Noble Viking Ragnar, there are some similarities in the tuning between the two, but Kronos makes a couple adjustments, one to the treble and another to the bass to just make it more balanced and more broadly appropriate for pretty much any genre of music that you want to throw at it. Those other characteristics you're looking for in a flagship IEM, the soundstage, imaging, the resolution, the detail retrieval, that's all there as well. It does feel like the Viking Ragnar, which was a detail machine, that's kind of the starting point here, is you've got a lot of those incredible characteristics from Viking Ragnar, but you've got more weight to the sound. Better bass extension, impact, rumble, and dynamics there. Very wide soundstage. Again, I think the bone conduction, the way it's configured here really helps with that sense of width and three-dimensionality there. And that extra bit of weight helps with that tactile feeling in the imaging as well. So very all around, well-crafted, well-balanced, technically strong IEM with a great build. So I guess the question is, who is this for? Coming off this sort of never-ending chain of very high-end, incredible IEMs, when I first put Kronos in my ears, I was like, okay, yeah, this is good, this is great, does everything well. Nothing's really blowing me away. So I gave myself a little bit of a reset. I went back to some like $500, $1,000 range IEMs, spent a few hours listening to some typical stuff. And I put the Kronos back in. It was like mind-blowing almost how well Kronos did everything. And I think that's really the key standout of Kronos. This isn't an IEM that you're going to say, oh, this is a great imaging IEM. This is an awesome flagship bass head IEM or any of that. This is an IEM that does everything incredibly well and incredibly in balance. So nothing in particular stands out, but kind of whatever you want to focus on is there for you. A very large soundstage with holographic imaging presentation, great bass extension, though not really exaggerated or emphasized bass. On the other side, really great mid-range vocals and treble extension as well. So you kind of get almost spoiled by this IEM because of all the things that it does that well. This is one, yeah, you can really put it through, hip hop, classical, classic rock, alternative, classic jazz, orchestral, the whole deal. Pretty much everything sounds awesome on this. Obviously, there's going to be some preference there with certain genres, but this is an IEM that's basically for anyone who's looking for that sense of perfect balance in the presentation. For a flagship IEM, I'd say this is very close to that sort of one and done sound that you can be happy with just about any style, any genre, any artist listening to it with Kronos. So ultimately, that kind of leaves us with the question of, should you buy it? So in this should you buy it section is usually where I do some comparisons. I think that's really the best way to describe Kronos and to work with it. So sort of starting with, again, that Viking Ragnar, which I see as sort of a starting point for where Kronos is going. Ragnar still wins out a little bit on some of the high-end definition and resolution elements, but Kronos is just so much better balanced across the board, particularly in the bass. There's not a huge difference there between the bass presentation in terms of, looking at the graphs. Same with the treble, but the way it's brought up the bass just enough and brought down certain elements of the treble just enough, the end result is what feels like a total transformation of that original Viking sound to something that is going to be superior for the majority of genres. On the other side, Noble recently released Shogun, which is sort of this bold, brash, in-your-face, hard-hitting bass sound. And looking at these two in comparison, it kind of comes in the other way, where if you want that more exaggerated sound, if you're listening to a lot of hip hop and metal and other things, Shogun might be the better pick for that extra warmth, extra impact in the mid bass, and more rumble through the depths of the sub bass. Whereas Kronos is hitting with that more balanced sound. And I think when you balance out the sound more, Kronos reveals some more detail. It has better resolution in the end than Shogun does, just because of what you can lose with an exaggerated bass presentation. Looking at some of the other recent releases like the Odin Mark II and the Volk Etoile, I feel like the three of these are all kind of dancing around a similar target, where they're all lean much more towards neutral, all have strong mid-range presentation, and bass that's not too exaggerated. So where I see the dividing line here, though, is Kronos is the best balance to my ears. Nothing really stands out as being too much or too little with any track or in any way. Odin comes out, I think, with a little bit more of a mid-range clarity, vocal sort of focus. Odin definitely brings the vocals more forward and can also, with certain instruments, guitars, some violins, also sort of add a little bit of an extra emotional edge to those as well. But the downside is sometimes when you bring those vocals forward, you can bring them a little bit too far forward, which is where Kronos stays in balance. So if you want to sort of bring out a more strong vocal presentation, Odin has the edge there against Kronos's balanced. Now, Etoile and Kronos are very close in terms of the overall sound signature. There's just some really minor shifts in the difference here or there. Etoile to me has a slightly stronger timbre, and it feels like those mid-range elements are just a little bit more detailed, a little bit more resolving in Etoile, while Kronos is more musical to my ear. Just the sound, the little bits of difference here and there, the way the upper mids and treble are arranged, I just get a stronger sense of musicality with Kronos, where I feel I get a better grasp on the details and resolution with Etoile. But these are very close in terms of the difference here. I think Kronos is a little bit wider. Etoile might be a little bit more deep, but it's the sort of differences that you got to sit down side by side and listen to 5 tracks back and forth, looking for those specific details in each to hear the difference. These are both really strong flagship IEMs here. Honestly, I almost feel like this is one you really just have to hear both and listen to how you're hearing your favorite genres and tracks with them, or even just kind of getting a look at them and which one kind of speaks to you more then. So what's the bottom line here? I think Noble has hit an absolute home run with this. Bringing that chronicle tuning and design to a full release IEM was a great idea. This one needs to get in as many ears as possible. Definitely really highly recommend Noble Kronos for a flagship IEM. Thanks for watching. You check out Kronos and a lot of other great products at bloomaudio.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more high fidelity audio content.